Hey guys, I just watched Medical Police, the new show on Netflix, and here comes my review. Hi, I'm Caesar. Welcome to Imperial Reviews. If this is your first time on this channel, and it probably is, I review movies and series, as well as I plan to react to new movie trailers as soon as I get my discipline. Which will happen as soon as I get my discipline deficiency in order and stop fucking procrastinating. Alright, let's start this. I really wish I could stay more positive on that topic, but Netflix, what the fuck? Seriously. This show reminds me at Hot Shots. You remember that awesome cult comedy with Charlie Sheen? Or Airplane from the 1980s with Leslie Nielsen? It's that, but in bad. It seems like this show tries to be something like that, some sort of this slapstick comedy, but you always expect something ridiculous to happen next. Because to some degree they build up the tension continuingly, but it never comes. Instead, it is mostly compensated by ridiculous, repetitive, and absolutely overacted dialogues. And the acting strongly reminds at B-movies, at really, really bad B-movies. And the worst part of this, when we talk about this repetitive stuff, there's some jokes that would be absolutely ridiculously funny. Like, seriously, you'd probably cry laughing if you wouldn't be so annoyed by the sheer amount of forced attempts to be funny, which this show simply isn't. A note on the side, the first time I laughed was in episode 2, whilst the reflex to take my laptop, throw it in the trash, break up with my internet provider, and to get out into the wilderness to live a life away from humanity in solitude, in nature, that probably kicked in 5 minutes into the show. The comedy seems absolutely forced, and it lacks any humor. And then you get those SJW references, where I'm not sure, are they supposed to be funny or are they serious? And the speed and the sheer amount of them just trying to be funny, to rip a joke, to implement a gag, whilst simply failing with it. Of each 20-minute episode, there are 15 minutes of attempting to be funny. And attempting is underlined and highlighted. It blinks. And 5 minutes are carrying the plot forward somehow. Which, to at least say something on a positive note, the plot is quite intriguing. Yeah, we can say that. That's the next thing. 10 episodes, 20 minutes a pop on average. And I seriously asked myself if I really have to go through with this until the very, very end. And started to question all my life choices, which I had made before, which led me to that specific moment in time where I watched this shit. And even the actors sometimes seem to, as if they couldn't really believe what they are just doing. I mean, sometimes you get glances where it just seems like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Yeah, that. And it's basically always the same. Everything repeats itself. The joke attempt, the camera tracking, and yes, there is repetitive camera tracking, and story-related a repeating pattern which I personally found absolutely annoying. It really annoyed me. Is that the protagonists basically are led by luck through the whole story. There is a clue we just fell over. There is something that thickens the plot. Well, we basically do nothing but falling through the scenes. Almost as if we were bystanders, who have nothing to do with what is actually happening. And on the contrast of this stockpile of shit, you sometimes are confronted with scenes with camera tracking that is on such a high, almost cinematic level that every attentive observer has to think that this show actually had a ton of potential. And how good this could have been if this endeavor would have been taken seriously. Wow. That's enough ranting. Let's get this over and done with, and let's proceed to the rating, shall we? I'm sorry, but I can't rate this shit. The Imperial scale unfortunately has no negative scoring. This show is by far the worst shit I've ever wasted my time with. And I've seen many movies and shows. And I just made it to episode 5. I just wanted to make a break because I was exhausted. I was seriously exhausted. But I can't bring myself to watch the last 5 episodes of season 1. It's as simple as that. That was the first time I had the feeling to get physically sick to my stomach because the quality of this was so goddamn bad. There's nothing positive that I can say about this show because even the positive aspects, which I have mentioned before, simply get lost in how massive a fuck up the show called Medical Cops is. This is hopefully the first and only time I have to conclude a review or anything what I ever do with this final statement. Do not watch this shit. Yeah, I wish I could have said something different. But this has to be put out there in the hopes that this show just will vanish as soon as possible. And please never come back in any form or seasons or whatever. Like seriously, please make a negative season that wipes my memory clean. Even one episode of this show to exist is simply it's too much. Netflix, you are supposed to be better. We are used to so much better from you. And this show, it just isn't funny. Caesar out.